Okay, everybody, we're coming back for the last segment of the show. My name is Rex Perry, host and creator, 123bz.com. If you want to make contact, get any information, my phone number, email, everything's there, 123bz.com. Our guest is Aaron.
Aaron Remer, I'm the founder of Giveback.
And we're talking about capitalism. We're talking about cryptocurrency with sunshine. We're talking about cryptocurrency with a purpose, with a mission to help the world. We're talking about an investment that may or may not make money, full disclosure, but it's doing good. It's making an effort to do good. And we are talking about developing countries. Now, let me give you a little bit of history on the book that I've written. If you think about it throughout history, this concept of land, think about how you had kingdoms and you had walls and you had armies to keep people out. And you go throughout the history and it's always been very bloody because because of famine and because of changes in the environment, people had to move, people had to fight for food, fight for resources. And you do a historical rush. And I'm sorry to do so fast a rush through world history, but you get up to England, and England has such an influence on America. So let's lay that out for you. But in 1277, I'm going to throw that number out there. It could be close, not close. But the point is there was the Crusades. They were just wrapping up. And you had Richard the Lionhearted, the famous guy, who actually dies without ever putting his foot on the island of Britain. He dies in France, and his younger brother, King John, becomes the master and commander, and he tries to take the land of these barons who have fought in the Crusades. We're talking about all the different shires, Lancaster, let's see, there's Devonshire, there's all these different areas that were owned by these barons, and he tried to take their land and sell it, and with that money pay back a loan that he owed the Pope. And guess what? The barons banded together, and they were part of the Knights Templar. This is a great story, by the way. This is a subtle story that's been told in different movies. If you ever watched the famous Robin Hood movie with Russell Crowe, this touches on this. That historical movie touches on the Crusades. It touches on the coming home. It touches on the concept of land ownership, because here's the real history. The barons banded together with a blood oath to fight for each other, all against the King John, and they whooped his butt and made him sign a thing called the Magna Carta. And the Magna Carta means the great document or the great charter. And it restricted the power of the king and recognized individual land rights of the barons, and that the king could not take their land. Now, guess what? There's multiple Magna Cartas because the king and his son kept breaking the rules. So they kept making him sign this document. The Magna Carta becomes the foundation of our legal system. The Magna Carta is the essence of you can't put somebody in jail without having a warrant or a reason. I think it's called habeas corpus. I'm not an attorney. But anyway, it has to do with the importance of having law that's more powerful than the king. And so therefore, these laws, this foundation, this legal description, by the way, they had to have surveys. And you can go to England. I went to England on a mission from the Mormon Church, and I loved it. And they have these ancient surveys that show, I own so many yards. They did change links and stuff like that, rods. And by the way, the original surveys in America were that way too. They didn't do it in feet. They didn't do it in the metric system. The long story made short is our ancestors, George Washington, he always gets told in the history book as being a surveyor. But guess what, Aaron? He was a real estate agent, like you and I. He did real estate. He would go out and survey land and then sublease the land to tenant farmers that would farm the land that he surveyed.
Smart man.
That's right. Because he understood all of these founding fathers, all of these ancestors, having gone through England, lived in England, come to America, understood that ththese legal descriptions are important to determine who owns what.
Rex, this is a great story. I don't know how you remembered all this.
I put it in the book. I've been working on it for years. Here's the rest of the story, though. He has this brand new piece of property. He goes to check on it, and there's squatters that have moved onto his property. He looks around, there's no legal entity to enforce his rights as the property owner to evict those squatters. He gets a letter from Philadelphia that says, hey, there's going to be this Continental Congress. We're gathering all these people together. One of his motivations to attend that was to help establish a legal entity to enforce property rights, real property rights. The other interesting thing in history is Jefferson, when he's writing the Declaration of Independence, the original draft, one of his lines is life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. But guess what? In the rough draft, it said life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. Oh. And he crosses off property and writes happiness. He understood that to have happiness, you have to have a safe place to sleep at night. You have to have land that everybody around you acknowledges that you're the owner. And guess what? In Mexico, they don't have that. They really don't. They've got recorder's office. They got a mapping thing. But to get access to it, you have to be a notary, from what I understand. You have to. You can't be a public coming off.
I know that when people buy property, they have to have like
a lease
and a trust. They have to put it in a trust because it's leased to the government.
Yeah, the bank. Who knows? It's a mess, and you never get to have fee simple title. You've heard that?
Oh yeah, fee simple, free and clear.
Fee simple means fee as in fiefdom. That's where that originates. That's a British line for the fiefdoms of the different shires that were held, the Devonshire, the different shires of Old England. That's where fee simple comes from. It's a very old English word.
If we create a new system, so you're saying, Rex, in your book, when we create a new system where people have perceived value to accept something for something, they can use GBack instead of using the peso.
That's right. It becomes a transactional fiat.
They'll use that instead. They're like, government, we don't need you. We're decentralized. There's a banking system, a cryptocurrency that's going to loan us money. All we got to do is gather some documents, prove who we are, we own this land, and what we're going to use the money for.
We want the government to come in. I think they're going to come in later. I think it's just going to be a time when we can finally get a chance to help the country understand that corruption does not and cannot exist in sunshine. We're going to try to help. I think we could get some politicians. I think we could get some people in Mexico to catch this vision. But GBack is the key. It's the starter. It's the oxygen that helps us breathe.
Our team is amazing. If you guys go to our website, Givebackcoin.com, and then you can look at our C Corp company, Givebackventures.com.
Yeah, here's another thing. If you are participating with a nonprofit organization and they'd like to be able to get funding, tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have we fund nonprofit and charities. We're a unique system where we generate our own revenues and we give 50% of it away. We fund small nonprofits, charities. We give back to people, anybody in need. We embed ourselves in the community, build network, and then we impact people's lives that as a community we want to impact. But we are building Give Back Ventures now. Charities can sign up to open a treasury, and that because we're onboarding hedge funds, companies to hold treasury in Give Back currency for philanthropy to satisfy their ESG scores. And instead of them giving the money away, they're actually just investing their money in a treasury, and that is going to qualify them for their Give Back ESG score. All companies have to do this to qualify. The government requires it. And so with what we're doing, we're just getting started. And so as we get higher, we're going to help a lot more people, a lot more charities and nonprofits.
Now think about this. What you just said is large corporations have divisions that are specifically focused on helping fund nonprofit organizations. And if anybody out there knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that's part of these corporations that might be able to put us in touch, they might want to be part of this funding for the micro lending in developing countries.
Absolutely. And the team, we'll talk about this, Rex, as we move on appointments with the team. But we have a framework and a protocol that companies can set up treasuries in using our protocol, using our currency. And so we're going to be, as we onboard these companies for these treasuries, we're going to be able to fund lots of people with the microloans.
Yeah.
Or help anybody we want that set up a treasury as a nonprofit or charity.
Yeah. So anybody out there that's working with a nonprofit, that is donating to a nonprofit, that is trying to help raise funds for a nonprofit, go to
Givebackcoin.com, fill out a form, fill out a contact form on there. You guys can reach out to me directly. 602-321-8662 is my number.
Okay. One more time.
602-321-8662. Give me a call. I'm Aaron Remer, the founder, if you're looking for some funding as a charity.
We always do the phone number twice because it goes by so fast, especially when people are driving or going around. Let me continue my story with the history a little bit. So we talked about Jefferson. The other major turning point for the success of the United States came in 1861-62 when Abraham Lincoln signed the Homestead Act. The Homestead Act, first of all, if the Civil War wasn't going on, they probably could have never passed that act. But all the guys that were going to vote against him were in the South shooting guns at the North. So he was able to pass that. And the Homestead Act, basically, the wonderful thing about the United States, even before the Civil War, the Army Corps of Engineers had gone all over the western part of the United States, here in Arizona included, and set up monuments for surveys. Now, a monument is a starting point where they set up this little tripod thing, and then they look through it, and they say, okay, that's so many rods, chains, now it's feet, metric system, whatever. Now we can measure from point A to point B, we can get a distance. And now we can create a map of what that property is and that section of land. I'm trying to educate people here because when you drive down the freeway going towards Superstition Mountains from Mesa, and you see off to your right is Baseline Road, you're running parallel. The 60 freeway runs parallel with Baseline. And then you cross over a road called Meridian. It's an exit on the freeway. At that intersection of Meridian and Baseline, in 1877, they set that monument up. Our founding fathers, the Army Corps of Engineers in the 1800s.
Wasn't that like the X Center?
That's it.
The X Center of Arizona.
That's it.
Right?
That's it. Well, for the two counties.
Oh, for the two counties.
Yeah. So when people do surveys, they start there, and then they started mapping out. Isn't that cool?
It's called Meridian because it's medium.
Yes.
Right?
Halfway. Mm-hmm. And the baseline is where you start. The baseline is simply it's
Arizona's been laid out so well. Phoenix is one of the best laid out cities ever.
Yeah, and again, because we're number 48, all these other 50 before us, they've made all the mistakes. You go to some parts, you go to southern part of the country, there are still pieces of property that they don't know who owns title to it. There are people that have been living. The Cajun in the Louisiana, there's a mess down there. And by the way, surveyors are trying to clean that up still to this day. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Give me contact information. Yeah.
Guys, Aaron Remer, founder of Giveback. Please go to Givebackcoin.com. You can find us on Coinbase. You can search with our ticker Givebackcoin. I'm sorry, Giveback is our ticker. We're Giveback. And Rex, with your vision, we can impact a lot of lives. And I really appreciate you having us on the show.
We can. Thank you so much. And we can change the world one little home at a time. We can change the world one microloan at a time. And what they're doing is they're gathering their data, their information. We're uploading it to a database that becomes searchable. We actually want the participation of the government, but they're going to come in. That's how governments are. They never lead.
When you build it, they will come.
That's it. That's it. Guys, we got music coming. That means it's time to wrap up the show. My name is Rex Perry. If you miss anything, 123bz.com. Go out. Have a great evening. We'll see you next week.